So last week's Pilates Reformer session got twice as many views as the one before that. So I finally understand what you want. I know what you want. You want to have a rock hard butt. I want that too. For you. And for me, of course. So that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be doing so many exercises. You're going to grow your butt to a size and to a strength that you can't even imagine. You're going to be having to do cardio to get rid of some butt that you've already built because it's going to be so impressive. If you're ready, we're going to get into it right now.
And as always, we want to start our workout with a short little relaxation exercise. Close your feet, extend your legs fully, and then let yourself be pulled into a little bit of a hamstring stretch and try to let the resistance pull you in as far as it can. And while we're on the topic of resistance, you're gonna use either more if you want to go more into a hypertrophy range training, which means building bigger muscles, or you want to go for more of a muscle endurance type or toning type training, then you're gonna reduce the resistance a little bit and work each exercise for 90 to 120 seconds. With that said, we're still limbering up a bit, so this exercise you're gonna just use one foot to push yourself away and to fully contract the posterior chain in your leg and then let yourself be pulled into a stretch. And now that we're all loosened up a little bit, we can start with the real workout. Your feet are gonna stay in the same position and we're gonna start with glute bridges, with the most important things being: one, you should not be pushing away at all. Instead, we're hooking our toes and keeping our biceps femoris, our gastrocnemius and our soleus, basically the entirety of our posterior chain in our legs contracted so we don't push away accidentally. After that, you want to focus on contracting your glutes as much as you can. For this, you're gonna need the full range of motion that you can muster, meaning you want to push away as much as you can, all the way up, hold the contraction for a second or two, and then you want to fully relax before moving on to the second one, where we're gonna change it up a little bit and at the top of the movement push our legs outwards and then close them again and return into our starting position. What this does is it increases the amount of gluteus medius and ventricle, basically the side of your butt, to contract more, which gives it this 3D kind of look. So we target all the muscles that we have in our posterior. So start with a glute bridge, open your legs as far as you can, contract the side of your butt, close, and then return into a neutral position before restarting the whole movement again. Hold it at the very top for 1 or 2 seconds and then slowly relax. Now, to take the pressure off the backside of our legs just for a little bit, we're gonna start out with our feet fully turned out and our knees following our toes. And this is gonna target the sides of our butts one more time. And here comes the interesting part. Depending on how much mobility you have in your hip joints, you're gonna have more or less contraction in your butt, because the more you can turn outwards with your legs, your knees and your feet, the more you can contract your gluteus medius and your ventroglute in this position. So turn your feet all the way out, turn your knees and your legs outwards, especially in the hip sockets, and contract your butt at the very top of the movement. Return into the starting position and repeat the whole process again, and we always do 90 to 120 seconds for every single exercise, and in between those we're gonna have a little bit of an extra added just in case someone here cramps up. Between every exercise we're gonna pull our legs in so we can stretch our posterior chain as much as we can, because now we're getting to the really exhausting and the really hard exercises. Remember the glute bridge? Well, we're gonna repeat this whole process again with one side, preferably without changing the resistance. And for this one to be just a little bit easier on your stabilizer muscles, we're gonna place our foot more to the middle of our body, extend the other leg in one line with the rest of your body, and once you are at the bottom of the movement, relax it fully and let go of all the tension before restarting the movement. Now with this one, there are a couple of things you have to be careful with. Starting with the range of motion, you want to try and push up as much as you can to have the full benefit of the exercise, which is an additional stretch in our hip flexors, which is always a good bonus to have. Next up, be sure to stay parallel to the ground and not fall to the side, which means you're gonna have to use your obliques and your abdominal musculature a little bit more with the one-sided exercises. Also, don't forget to switch legs. I know this is something obvious, but I'm just saying. And try and go for the full 90 to 120 seconds if you're working more in the endurance range when it comes to those exercises. And now we have gotten to a point where we need to extend our leg fully when stretching. So extend that leg, pull it in as much as you can. You don't have to touch it at your toes. You can pull it at the back side of your leg. The most important thing is only that it stays extended, starting at your butt all the way up to your foot. And what that is going to do is give you that full posterior chain stretch all the way to your spinal erectors. And be sure to pull in those toes so you feel it in your lower legs too. Hold on, then switch sides from the left side to the right side. Repeat this whole process. I would recommend holding at least for 5 to 10 seconds, which isn't that long, I imagine, and then you can go on to the next exercise. It's starting to get more intense and more demanding, starting with a glute bridge, adding the push away now. So we turn our legs, our knees and our feet outward again, so we have more the side and now the full butt engaged during the exercise, and then return and repeat the whole process again. So once you raise up, you have already flexed your lower back and your butt. Pushing away flexes your quadriceps, the front side of your leg, and pulling in the back side of your leg. So we have from the very tip toes all the way to the lower back to our lumbar spine. We have full contractions and every single muscle is involved in this movement, especially the lower back all the way to your toes. And the more you turn your legs and your knees outwards, the more you have contractions in the side of your butt. So again, to reiterate, so we get that nice 3D looking shape. Return to baseline, and you want to always, between every single repetition, we want to go into full relaxation and start the movement anew without having any tension in our bodies, so we can do a full repetition as it is intended. Stretch, and now we'll try to isolate the side of our butt just a little bit more by using the straps. Now you're gonna strap in your foot, be sure that you are tight in there so you don't fall out, and then we're gonna pull in both legs close to our body. We're gonna grab the leg that we're not using and push out the leg that we're gonna be using to push our body away and do the movement. So you're turning it outwards all the way, and you're gonna already feel it contracting on the side. Push away, try and stay straight in your leg. You're gonna notice you need a lot of stabilization for this one, so if the resistance is too much, you're gonna notice shaking. That is not a good sign. Reduce the resistance just a little bit and try again. Always do this with new exercises just to try out, to test the waters so you don't hurt yourself. We're pushing our knee out and our foot out, extending our leg fully and then slowly returning, and be sure to do an active negative movement. And once you're done with that, you can use the strap to stretch a little bit more and to pull your toes closer while you're doing the leg extension. Switch to the other side, pull both legs in, grab the one you're not using, push the other one out as much as you can. You can see it in the mirrors that I'm turning my leg outwards. It's almost in a 90-degree angle to my other leg or my femur. I'm basically doing Pythagorean math while I am training my butt. Isn't that a nice thing to do? Again, we're turning our feet and our knees outward as much as we can. We're extending fully. You might keep a little bit of a bend in your knee just so you don't put too much pressure into it, and then you use the strap to pull your leg in and your toes a little bit closer for a full nice stretch. We're gonna turn to the side and we're gonna repeat the one-legged exercises, and this time with another push. The difference between that one and the one before is that we need a lot less stabilization, which means that we can focus a lot more on the contraction in our glutes, moving down our quadriceps, and then we put our toes up, so we even have some gastrocnemius and soleus involvement, basically the entirety of our posterior chain once more. And then of course we're going to switch sides and repeat the whole process. We want to flex fully from the tip toes all the way up to the butt and return. And since we want enough range of motion, that means that we need to scoot in really close. As you can see, my femur again, or my upper leg, is at the very least parallel to the surface I'm pushing away from, so we have the full range of motion, and we can use that to increase the exercise difficulty. Which brings us to our final exercise in this rotation. We're going to turn around and use the shoulder holders. I'm not sure what they're called in English, but shoulder holders is pretty nice. And we're going to use just one leg to simulate a kind of a Smith machine here. We're pushing away and we're always using our toes so we can maximize the length in our leg at the top of the movement. Push away, switch sides, repeat the whole process left and right. And for the left side, right side exercises, we're also doing 90 to 120 seconds for each leg. As always, full extension and then full relaxation. Let yourself be pulled in just a little bit, and once we're done with that, we're gonna just sit back into a classic yoga child's pose, have a nice little back stretch in it too, and if you're feeling up to it, you can repeat the whole circuit again.
And that's basically it for me for today, exercise-wise. Again, 90 seconds to 120 seconds for each exercise. If you have to, take short breaks in between. What you definitely should do is all the exercises that we did for stretching in between the strengthening exercises, just so you don't cramp up, because I get that a lot during my classes. So keep that in mind. And if you want to go for a second round after you do the whole training, you can do that too. If you want to increase the resistance and go more into a hypertrophy training, you can do that. If you want to just tone your body, which is basically just strength endurance training, which is a middle ground thing, we can also go for that, which is basically the 90 to 120 seconds that we've been doing. If you do, however, want to go into full hypertrophy, like building bigger muscle only, you're going to drastically increase the resistance that you have and reduce the amount of repetitions. So 3 sets of 4 to 8 repetitions for hypertrophy, which is going to be a little bit hard because you don't have as much resistance with the reformer as you would have with, for instance, like a barbell, but you can still do it. If you slow down the movement, if you keep time under tension for the muscle, increasing and progressively overloading that, it's still gonna work. If you like the video, subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow because new videos every day. Captain Cairo, peace out.